Zombies. They're one of the most iconic imageries in film history that have gone by many names. Walkers, biters, hungries, white walkers, the undead, and many more. This well-known trope originated from the Haitian zombie, who were essentially mind-controlled slaves at the mercy of a sorcerer master. The idea seeded into Hollywood films after the neo-colonial occupation of Haiti, where zombies became an object to explore society's fears. The fascination of the living dead as a metaphor has captured the imagination of American filmmakers for over half a century. But recently, we've seen the zombie capture the imagination of the rest of the world too, such as South Korea with its global sensation Train to Busan and its spin-off Peninsula. But with a different country and culture comes a different interpretation of the zombie. So in this video essay, I will be looking at how South Korean and Hollywood zombie films approach the commentary of the Anthropocene and the capitalist world. But first, let's look at how Hollywood zombies have been used as a metaphor. The reason that zombies are such a powerful metaphor for humanity's issues lie precisely in its uncanny humanness. In the Zombie Manifesto, Lauro and Embry argue that the terror of zombies is primarily a fear of the loss of consciousness, since humanity defines itself by its individual consciousness and its personal agency. The zombie exists in a liminal state. It's neither alive or dead, it's neither the subject or the non-subject, and it's neither the human or the animal. And that liminality scares us as humans. But the zombie also presents another fear. The fear of the fate of the Anthropocene. The Anthropocene is defined by Jennifer Fay as the epoch during which humanity began to replace the Earth as something given for a disaster humanity created, an artificial planet, and an anthropogenic climate. Zombie films communicate our fear of losing this human-created world to corpses that are unable to appreciate the work that was put into it. This is why Western filmmakers like George A. Romero saw zombies as a perfect embodiment for symbolism and commentary. In Romero's classic film, Dawn of the Dead, he uses zombies to show how capitalism turns us into slaves of the system, deluded into thinking we have free will, by showcasing all of this in a shopping mall. In the montage where zombies fumble their way around a shopping mall, he mocks real-life people that have succumbed to consumerism, hoarding around the stores and mindlessly chasing after uncontrollable desires. Therefore, the fear of zombies created by the West is an individualistic one, where one fears the loss of self to the workings of capitalism. But South Korea, on the other hand, takes a different approach to the zombie film given its historical context. South Korea's capitalist system has created one of the largest income inequalities around the world. Between 2001 and 2015, South Korea became one of the most concentrated forms of free market capitalism, driven by corporate greed and creating large class divides. This has resulted in multiple riots and strikes led by the working class against corporations. As observed by Wagner, contemporary South Korean films commentate on class and income inequality by depicting two key classes. One is a highly fashionable white-collar bourgeoisie, the other is the working class who lack the money to climb up the social ladder, seen as the underlying social and material degeneracy. These two classes are often portrayed against each other to demonstrate the tensions of classes and the neoliberal conditions of South Korea. This is often done in genre films like drama and crime thrillers. But zombie films, on the other hand, are not as common of a genre in South Korea, let alone for socio-political commentary. But yet Train to Busan stood up to the challenge and introduced itself to the world. Like its Western counterparts, the Train to Busan series also used a zombie narrative to commentate on individual fears of the Anthropocene and capitalism. However, it also focuses on the collective impact as well. The original Train to Busan film begins with a reanimated deer that was infected by a man-made virus from a chemical plant nearby. This directly commentates on the Anthropocene to show that the zombie apocalypse to end the world is a consequence of human actions. This is also something we see in 28 Days Later, where the zombie outbreak also began from infected animals that were let loose. However, Train to Busan takes this idea further by making the main character, Sik-woo, indirectly responsible for the outbreak, after selling all the shares in the chemical plant company, which led to the dumping of those chemicals. It is only after Sik-woo learns about this that he starts to think about others and help them out. This plot point commentates on the behavior of white-collar workers and their disregard for the consequences of their actions until it impacts them. On the other hand, Peninsula, set within the same cinematic universe, uses zombie narratives to create a more explicit commentary. The zombies in this film have had some time to mature within this apocalyptic wasteland and has developed a daily cycle. They congregate inside buildings at night, roam outside during the day, and react exclusively to light and sound. The zombies in this film become a commentary on the blue-collar working-class life in South Korea, and this becomes especially evident when a horde of zombies become easily distracted by a night city van that features an advertisement for lowbrow adult entertainment. The shopping mall also makes an appearance in this film, but unlike its Western counterpart, the mall becomes a twisted arena where zombies and humans fight for entertainment. The mall changes from commentating on consumerism to the physical embodiment of class struggle, where humans in the arena are tasked to survive every day for the reward of food and another day to live. The arena becomes an allegory for the bourgeoisie watching the working class struggle for their entertainment, knowing fully well that they have the resources and power to liberate them from the system. The ending of both films, however, make the difference in ideology between Hollywood and South Korean zombie films clear. Both Train to Busan and Peninsula centers a heroic sacrifice as its climax, and allowing the main characters to find an outcome that benefits the collectivist good. In Train to Busan, Sikwoo gets infected and decides that the best thing he can do for his daughter and the pregnant woman he saved is by jumping off the train before he turns into a zombie. This is a choice that is done in the interest of the living collective. He sacrifices himself to ensure the survival of the 2 children and a mother who can help rebuild South Korea to the way that it was. Meanwhile, in Peninsula, a mother sacrifices herself for the group due to her injury, so her children and the main character, Jong-suk, can board the UN helicopter and escape. In the mother's final moments, the UN representative commends her selfish choice by saying,
"She made a very sensible decision. It was for the best, for everyone."
Jong-suk, however, decides against this and takes it into his own hands to rescue the stranded mother so that she could nurture her children. In this case, the UN stands in for the Western ideology of self-survival, while Jong-suk offers the South Korean alternative of collective survival. The endings of the Train to Busan series prioritize the collective and rationalize their decisions with the fate of the future generations, as they are the ones who will continue the Anthropocenic world. This demonstrates that the Train to Busan series uses zombie films to commentate on collective issues of the Anthropocene and capitalist world. Given the difference of culture and identity, South Korea uses the zombie genre to highlight the collective issues of capitalism and the Anthropocene compared to its Hollywood counterparts. By examining the popular zombie films of South Korea and Hollywood, we see how the commentary differs. South Korean films, specifically the Train to Busan series, focuses on depicting the wider collective issues of class indifference and the continuance of the Anthropocene, while the Hollywood films focus on individualistic issues such as consumerism and personal survival in a desolate world. But regardless of the region, we see how both South Korea and Hollywood continue the legacy of the zombies and using them to address specific conditions of the Anthropocenic world that we live in.